Hello, hello, and welcome back to New You Wow, Going Places. I am Yvonne Nobles, your host. We are celebrating achievements around the world, and today we are so honored to be joined by Marjorie Penn, all the way from New Jersey. How are you, Marjorie?
Wonderful. And yourself, Yvonne?
Fantastic. We are eager, excited to hear your journey today. In fact, folks, Marjorie runs a boutique business. She's very focused on building at a personal level, the person behind the business. So whether you're an entrepreneur or a service provider, she's here to help you scale your business through automation so you're able to travel. So, Marjorie, that is a huge undertaking. How long have you been doing that now?
Wow, I would say it's a bit over 2 years in the specifics of the boutique, but I've managed and developed businesses for over 15 years.
Awesome. Awesome. And we tend to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. So can you tell us something about yourself that most people do not know, a hidden gem?
Hmm, most people wouldn't know. I played the alto sax.
Really?
I haven't played it in a while, in actually a few years, I should say a while. Yeah, but I played the alto sax. Yeah. I
Did
love
you?
that instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. Did you have a favorite song?
Mm, nothing I can think of right now.
Okay. No, but that is such a beautiful talent and skill. And
Thank
there's
you.
nothing like music when it comes to
Yes.
speaking to the soul. So that is great. Well, we're all about sharing our entrepreneurial journey, the ups, the downs. It can be a bit of a roller coaster. So,
Mhm.
can you share something that was a bit of a bump in the road, something that was unexpected, but you overcame the trial anyway?
Hmm. Wow. Anytime you start out, for anyone, to your point, it's always going to be somewhat of a challenge. And for me, I had no interest whatsoever in social media.
Hmm,
So Facebook, whatever the other things that came before, what was it? I don't even remember. I was going to say Skype, but that's not what it was.
like
But
MySpace and all the other
MySpace,
ones.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, MySpace. Yeah. For me, it was all about the fact that anyone that I knew would know how to contact me. So fast forward the clock, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm getting ready to start my own business. And then it dawned on me, uh, I don't know anything about social media. Wait, how am I? I'm great with in-person events. Like I love doing them. Going to networking events and stuff. But when when I started within the first 2 years, in the first year is kind of like trying to like I wasted so much time.
Mm,
Right, there's when they say you should get a coach. It's really important to get a coach.
yes,
You don't realize it in the initial stage. You think, I'm used to learning things on my own. I can go to YouTube and fuddle my way through. But guess what? There's things that people put out that they miss certain things because you just think that everybody knows it because it's common knowledge. But it's not
absolutely.
common knowledge to someone who's been working in corporate for years where everything is done for you.
Mm,
And you're working with the end result. You're not actually producing what needs to be done. And so that is what I would highlight, was yeah, a bump in the road for me because I could have been so much further and ahead had I just, put what do they say that when they say that pride comes before a fall,
oh, yeah.
I could have just reached out to someone and and said, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And it's not because I didn't ask, but you ask once, and then people say this also. You ask, you continue to ask, you continue to reach out, and if you need to pay, you pay to get someone to help you. And I should have done
Absolutely.
that. I had more than enough money to pay someone to help me, and I didn't do that because I just figured I could do it on myself. And I feel horribly in doing that. But today, I know so much more. So
Awesome. Awesome. No, and what you're making me think of is that saying, you don't know what you don't know. So the fact that
exactly.
you're sharing that message loud and clear for the people in the back, anyone who is embarking on an entrepreneurial journey, save yourself a lot of time and frustration because you're not really paying for the coach per se. You're investing in you. And time
Correct.
is such a precious resource. So,
You don't get back.
how did you get past that hurdle? What changed for you to help you understand I need to go find support?
Well, so the thing was, actually, it was the fact that I got because I was learning on my own, it took a lot longer, but I was learning.
Hmm.
And I as I learned, it made more sense to me that wow, now I'm realizing, wow, like if you had asked someone, you would have learned this already. Like each thing that I learned, and this could help you. And so then I said, okay, well, since since now I already have a concept of what Facebook is now, and I'm making great connections with people, um, because the way how my business ran and how I got in contact with people was while I traveled and while I went to these networking events.
Hmm.
This is how I got my business, you know? And that doesn't mean if you're that type of person that does that, that you can't still do that, because God knows I still prefer to do that than to be on social media because it's just so much. Sometimes you're just wondering, is this a real person? Is it a bot? Like, is this a scammer?
Oh,
You
yeah.
you have all these insecurities. But at the end of the day, what I decided was, I decided as of December of
Hmm.
last year, it was a new year and COVID had, I mean, I had plenty of time to think about things during COVID because nothing was happening during COVID.
You're right.
I just was going into more things because the travel aspect of it is what I started originally, and the
Hmm.
automation aspect of it came in during the whole time of the pandemic. Because what I was thinking about is something that is going to be able to allow me, now that I had to put myself out there again, where
Hmm.
I had to start working because I depleted a lot of funds, what would I be able to do that will be able to follow up and monitor and attend to the clientele and the customers and still enable me to be able to do what I enjoy, which is to travel and spend time with my family. Those are the things that are crucial and important. And why do people want to start a business? They want to have more time
Right.
to do things that they enjoy. It may not be travel for someone. Probably it might be just, doing something else, whatever it is. And the automation piece is what helps that. And so I said, you know what, if I'm going to be doing this, then I need to speak to someone who's going to be able to give me some guidance in the right direction of what it is I have to do. And there is where I invested into a coach
Mm.
that said to me, hey, you know what? I went onto your Facebook page and I see you have a few things, but I don't really know anything about you. And
Mm.
I'm thinking I could tell you lots about me. But so I got some guidance. So yeah, the training piece, yes, you can teach the particulars, but we want to make sure that we get you out there so the clients know you. So it was kind of like that's what happened in December. So if you go onto my page, that's when you're going to see a lot of activity starting.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
And I love the point that your coach made because we can't see our own blind spots. So that's
correct,
another thing that's so helpful when you go get another perspective. They're going to immediately see something that probably never occurred to you and that can put you like on the ground running towards
right,
success. So
correct.
really, really love that. And, tell us more about your professional journey. Like, tell us about highlights. Tell us about moments that you felt you were on top of the mountain because things were just going so well.
Um, so well, like in the initial, when I started, I actually felt really confident. Like every probably within, I traveled probably about 10 times out of the year. In
Beautiful.
in every trip that I did, I would have gained clients. So I would say that I had about 20 clients during those travel periods of times that traveled so much with me within that year into the following year, so that when the pandemic even came up and they were reaching out, I had to turn a lot of business away because people weren't really understanding what was happening in the travel. Hence
Right.
why some people were um couldn't leave a country. They were
Right.
just left in a country and couldn't leave.
Right.
Um, I had someone, I had like four people call me wanting to travel. And I was like, no, no, no. One specific lady who she referred me to, her niece, her one of her other friends, she was like, "Oh, I want to go to England," and I'm saying, "You got 2 weeks quarantine." She only has 2 weeks for vacation, and you're like, "You got 2 weeks quarantine. This is not the time to travel
Mm,
because you're not gonna. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna go there and be in the hotel room, you know?
wow.
Yeah. So,
And I can relate to that, because I was in the cruise industry right around the time the
awesome.
pandemic hit. So exactly what you're saying, since it's deemed international travel, people weren't factoring in those pieces. Like you said, quarantine, documentation, like travel completely changed.
Correct. Completely changed. And this is the reason why I stress, um, I'm not into trying to convince people into doing something.
Beautiful.
I like people to make educational decisions and do something that makes sense. So I'm the person who is like overly trying to make sure that there's clarity in something. And I would say that when people, it's great to say, hey, you know what? I can jump on Priceline, I could go on Expedia, and I can book a flight. But the reality is at the end of the day, when you book a flight, you book whether hotel and the car and everything, you just really don't get the same service, even if you speak to the rep, that you
Hmm.
will with an actual travel consultant.
True.
Because we're not an agent that's just taking your information that you're dictating specifically what it is. We're literally doing the legwork, the research. We should be. And if we're not, then you have the wrong travel consultant or
Run.
advisor. Exactly. You need to it's really important because some people actually got that's where a lot of people got problems
Mm.
because they were booking when these search engines weren't up to date in their systems yet on what was happening, not because they may not have known, but there were so many things that needed to be updated, and then you have no one to speak to
Mm.
when you can't even get a refund. I mean, you said you're in a cruise industry. Obviously the cruise industry, they got hurt like really hard, you know. Forget about the hotels, and when I say forget about the hotels is because the hotels at least still got some kind of business. The cruise
Yes.
industry got absolutely nothing. It was like cut off, shut down.
Yeah, it was historical. It was historical. And, I joked with my management at the time and said, this job is no longer about sales. It's more about therapy. Because in addition to the fact that hold times were astronomical and there was so much confusion around the constant change in requirements, well, people were dealing with significant loss. So whether that was, family or job or sanity, it
Mhm.
definitely was a very toxic time.
Very.
And, I'm just glad that people held their own
Mhm.
and were able to make it through. So
Correct.
kudos to you for being there. In fact, what would you say, given the effect that the pandemic had on so many lives and more so the livelihood of people? What kept you going through that time? What kept you positive and forward facing?
Oh, for the most part, it's my mom always says, my mom always says, meaning I hear her tell people, if I ever see my daughter upset, that something must be really wrong
Mm,
because she's always a happy-go-lucky person. So for the most part, I'm always gonna be laughing or ongoing. So my family, at the end of the day, they are the ones that I grew up and just surrounded with a lot of love. So just for me, that's how I feel. Even if they're not close to me, I feel loved, very much loved. So they are the ones that keep me going. They're the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, yeah.
beautiful. And I just got to celebrate that point. Always be connected to your why. Because some people assume that this entrepreneurial journey is an easy ride and there's going to be some bumpy spots, and
Yes.
you only going to make it to your destination if you're connected to your why. I love that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
given that you said you grew up surrounded by a bunch of love, at what point were you actually bit with the entrepreneurial bug? When did you know I want to work for myself versus working on a job?
Oh, wow. I've always wanted to, always, since I was like out of the womb. No.
You were the little boss baby they have on the cartoon.
Yeah, that's me. No, that is me. So I talk about one of my posts talks about me saying that I wanted to be a teacher and a lawyer.
Hmm.
So I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I say a lawyer. I changed my mind on that when I realized certain things that I would have had to endure, and certain things. And even though I haven't actually taught in a school, there was reasons why that got adjusted as well. I actually spend a lot of time coaching is teaching and training people. So I still
Absolutely.
get to live my passion through doing that. And I've done that majority of my life. So from a little girl, I used to, this is when I wanted to open my own little school. I'm
Aw.
teaching. I used to, I would have people sit down and I would go through, this is how you do this and you would work this out because I all, I always would have people come and ask me, hey, do you know how to figure this out? Like, I didn't understand that. So teaching became an interest to me because I cared. I always, they say nothing is always, but I care very much for people. And
Mm.
for me, no one is left behind. One of the things for the travel aspect of it that I'm very focused on is for the travel aspect. Um and is that I'm very focused on special needs is seen or unseen. So it doesn't
Hmm.
mean that the person it has dementia. I say dementia because that's a form of special needs, but blind, deaf,
Hmm.
or that they're Down syndrome, or they could be really tall. They could be very heavy. There are people who are really heavy that don't want to go on a plane because people aren't very nice, and they have to take up more than one seat. Um, just the whole reactions. There might be people who are just getting in the early stages of Alzheimer's,
Hmm.
and they don't want anyone to come with them because they've done traveling all by themselves all the time, and they find it very upsetting. It's very, that's why I say it's so traumatic. But anyway, I'm touching on points of different things that are really, really these things are really important for me.
Hmm.
These kinds of topics. So I say that to say that people, I had the interest from very young because anytime I found someone that had a challenge with something, that someone made it, that something is wrong with that person. They're not too sharp, or the terminology would be, or they're stupid, or you know they some not too nice thing, like
Hmm.
this is my goal to get this person to where they need to be at, because that is unacceptable. It's
Right.
unacceptable to treat someone, no one stays behind. Everyone is going to move forward, and they're going to have success. That's why I
That
get
is
tickled
beautiful.
to that funny happy when I see so many people with special needs that are excelling and being highlighted in sports and in different categories that wouldn't have been during the time when I was growing up. And so
Yeah.
that's like really I'm really passionate about that. So, and I see automation, just so you know, similarly,
Hmm.
because um it's helping getting, if you can't do something all the time, we can have it done for you. So
Hmm.
you still look competent in what it is you're doing, and you could take your time and learn it as you go along, because you're good at what you do, but someone is judging you based on one little factor that you're not good at that makes you look incompetent. And I
Right.
don't think that that's right. That's just my thought process.
No, you hit on some very, very strong points there. And we're certainly kindreds there. I kind of considered myself the anti-bully growing up because,
Yes.
I was
Thank
an army brat. So every couple of years living in a new place, new school. And yeah, if I
you.
saw someone sitting at the lunch table by themselves or someone sitting in the back of the room by themselves, that was the person that I immediately marched over to, made sure they were my best friend, made them feel amazing. And there's
Ah,
just something beautiful about being able to lift someone from that. And then when others see what you're doing, they're like, oh, that's how we're supposed to interact. So actions speak
exactly.
louder than words. So, and I
Exactly.
love it too when you said passion. That is so key that if you're going to be successful in business and you're kind of confused about which way to go, look back in your childhood. Look at the thing that drove you. And that's
Mhm.
probably going to be your superpower as far as having a
Mhm.
profitable business. So,
Thank you
really
so much.
curious since you brought up childhood, what do you
Hmm.
think? What's your opinion? Do you choose your calling or does your calling choose you and why?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good question.
No wrong answer.
No, most definitely. I say that because it's kind of like asking about is your destiny already set for you? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that. Um, and when I say I don't believe that, it's kind of like a catch 22, nature versus nurture, because at the end of the day, all affect the child. It's neither one or the other. They both affect the child because you're born with your nature. Yes, your nurture affects who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a guy ask me recently when I traveled recently if he says to me he's uh, he says to me, "Are you a profiler?" And I said, I've been asked that before. Because I spend time and I study people.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to know how to interact or to deal with people is really important to understand them. And to do that, I'm very empathetic. So I physically feel and think about, put myself in their position and what they may be going through so that I can have a better concept of what it is, how to reach them, how to help. And I say that to say the answer is for me, is that it doesn't matter, um, if we think about it,
Mm-hmm.
there are different roads that one can go on. It's pending what you choose. The road you choose determines what your destiny is. But you could choose one road and move off on another path.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay on the road. So no one can predetermine what the end result is going to be. So I can't say that that it chose that I'm the one that chose. It's by my choice that the end result is what it is. It's not some Nothing is chosen for me. Someone could come and tell me that you're going to die tomorrow and I won't accept that, because at the end of the day it is my choice that deems how it's going to happen. That they talk about people trying to avoid certain things because they were given information. I don't know if you've read this also too. I've had there's a lot of spiritual connections that I get from people. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize this initially as a young girl growing up until a young girl working, where I will interact. And one time during the this is why Facebook is good. Um, through an interaction, I asked the lady, and she says to me, I said, "Why do I keep getting?" I call them strange people because I don't know them. That
Mm-hmm.
will walk up to me, and or I would encounter or pass, and they will stop me, or they will hold my hand because let's say I'm handing them something, or they would look at me and just say something to me, and I'm thinking, like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had several people tell me stuff that I've seen and they've come through, not necessarily 100% exactly how they've said it, but they have happened. um so yeah, I'm still waiting for some things that I have heard, because they have been some I haven't had anybody that said anything to me that's not good. But yeah, I shouldn't say that. I have had, but those times have already passed over 20 years ago.
There you
So
go.
yeah. So I don't know.
Well, as you were sharing that, it made me think about a poem I read when I was a little girl. First fell in love with poetry, but the
Ah,
Robert Frost one, and where he says, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one
right.
less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So just the fact that, like you said, the roads are there, but you have a choice. And what
Correct.
I love about that is you're really espousing something that is vital in being a strong entrepreneur, ownership.
Mhm.
It's okay if you go down a path you don't like. Course correct, change it. Don't
Correct.
get stuck and think you have to stay there or that you're
Exactly.
forced to fail because actually failure helps make you stronger. Just learn
Thank
from it.
you. I
Yeah.
think that's why we click. I'm telling you. So I usually tell people, I said, listen, okay. So for example, we've been experiencing, oh my God, so much rain. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And I
Hmm.
shouldn't be complaining because I'm not in Florida. But the thing is, I say to people, I said, if you're in a car and it's raining, do you know
Hmm.
if you continue, you drive out of the rain? Like if you stay there, that one spot might rain for 2 days. But if you continue in probably 30 minutes, there'll be no rain.
Good point. Good point. It makes me laugh inside because I drove through a hurricane once. This was 20 years
Oh,
ago. I didn't know. I just knew it was kind of bad weather. And Florida's crazy. So you never know
uh-huh.
what you're going to get. And to all those that are compounding and just surviving through Ian, our hearts go out to you, prayers, because it's not easy when you're in the direct path.
Correct.
But yeah, I left work. They did put some warnings out, but these storms are very unpredictable. So
Correct.
by the time I made it home, my roommate, she goes, you just drove through a hurricane. And I was like, what? I mean, I saw palm fronds flying and a couple things that were interesting, but like you said, all I knew was get where you're going. Don't stop.
Don't
But
stop.
yeah, that's so key when it comes to life's storms. So whether it's business or personal, you are going to encounter some stormy weather. And the
Mhm.
key is, do you let that stop you? Or are you able to just weather the storm and see beyond where you are today to that bright sunshine that's just waiting on you?
Right. No, most definitely. And listen, here's what I'll say also. And I say this only because I understand that everybody is not the same.
Hmm.
This is why it's important to ask for help. If you cannot see a way out,
Hmm.
don't get paralyzed and just stay there. You don't know, you have to have there has to be a number. And if you have absolutely no one to call, go and speak to someone that you see in a place that you figure people know something.
Hmm.
Speak to somebody
Yes.
because somebody is going to assist you.
Yes.
Believe me when I say this, somebody is going to assist you.
Yes. Yeah, you're hitting on that collective strength in numbers. We were not
Correct.
designed to live this thing alone. Our
Thank
journeys
you.
were not meant to be lived in isolation and silos. And I think
Mhm.
again, the carry away from the pandemic is clear. People are hurting. They're still rebuilding because of being forced to separate and be alone. So yes, very strong advice. Reach out, raise your hand. I think too, unfortunately, there's a lot of frowning upon asking for help. But people are so busy with their problems, sometimes they're not even aware that you could use assistance. And
Correct.
people love to help. That's in our nature. So don't go it alone.
Correct.
So, any other things you wanted to say on that subject?
Well, I'll just say this what you to just piggyback on what it is you say when you say that people like to help. Something that people should realize, yes, you're going to encounter, to be frank, you might be the person, I used to say, I was going to say always because I love that word always. Nothing, and I just said nothing is always, Marjorie. I have to remind myself. It's important to speak to yourself and be loving and kind to yourself, even when you do things that are what you would call stupid or crazy, because you listen and you may not realize what you're telling yourself is affecting you more than the person who you think is affecting you.
Yeah.
So someone may not be saying something nice to you, but you still remind yourself that you're doing well, you're doing good. But like I said, to piggyback on what it is you said, when people when they go out and they see people, most people, you would say, I was going to say that, I would say that every time I don't like to ask people for help.
Mm,
That's an issue. I can talk to this because like I say, I've gone through this. I don't like to ask for help, hence me
mm,
going through that long process
hmm.
that delayed me.
Most of us have
um
been there.
yeah, I've been there, I understand, I know that person. But the thing here is that when you the same I you can tell I'm telling you, I really enjoy helping people. It makes me happy. Okay. Some people say to me, do you not expect to make money? And I'm thinking, yeah, I expect to make money. That has nothing to do with the fact of wanting to help people. So the thing is, what I'm saying is to your point, is when people help, when you ask people for help and you give them an opportunity to help you, don't just ask one and you hear a no. You may hear several no's, but I guarantee you that one person that helps you, that one person that actually stops to help you, is filled with so much joy and pride because they were able to help you. They may have been inside themselves wanting so badly to support, reach out, or help or assist someone. So
Hmm.
it's really important to ask, because there are some people, if you ever see people who like to brag that, oh, I did this, oh, I did that, well, they might be the ones who will help just so that they can brag, but we don't care what their motive or reason is. We want to help. I'm just
And
saying.
you know, you're right. There's a scriptural tenet. It says there's greater happiness in giving than receiving. So
Correct.
even people who struggle with giving, once they experience the joy that comes from lifting someone else,
Yeah.
it's inevitable. So yeah, never,
Yeah.
never be timid about asking.
Mhm.
But certainly very curious. What are you working on? What projects should we be on the lookout for that are under your container right now?
Well, obviously, not obvious. Uh, so I'm working right now on doing a launch over the next, I would say, promoting over the next 2 months.
Beautiful.
So you will start seeing a lot of different promotions coming out. It's going to be a combined. Big focus is going to be on the automation piece. There's just a lot of people I feel out there that they really need to get into it, and they need to have someone that's going to take the time with them and go through the process. And I'm not going to be able to help myself because this is boutique services. You got to travel. The
Yay.
holidays are coming up. We need to think about what we want to do with our family. And another thing is, I learned this through doing what I do, and I love it. Money like speed. Okay.
Yes.
So when you determine that you and your family needs to travel, start packing.
Yes.
Start packing, and you will think that you're not, you might say to yourself, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Keep
Hmm.
telling yourself you don't know how you're going to do this. You pack and you tell yourself, we are going on vacation,
Yep.
and my business is going to run as if I'm still there, because it's going to be running on automation. Okay. And how is it going to do that? Because you're going to have Marjorie Penn's boutique services. No.
Woohoo!
No, but no, but seriously, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. Focus on promoting the automation aspect over the next
Beautiful.
2 months. And we'll see, it will be at a discounted price. Um yeah, and then after the third month, which should bring us into December,
Hmm.
is when I will increase the price for both that and there'll be a bonus offer in regards to the vacations and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm still
Fabulous.
working out a few things, but I've already started working on laying out all my stories and planning out how I'm going to do reels. I have to tell you, it's always a challenge because I don't like to be on camera. So I do what I call procrastination. Um,
Mm.
and then I have the conversations that I have with myself, like showing up today is to tell myself, Marjorie, what you have is what other people need and what they want, and you're going to help people. And how are you going to do that if you're a secret eye, private eye? No, hey, no one's going to know about you. And so I'm going to show up and jump in and start doing some more different things, along with some really detailed and good posts.
Kudos on that determination. The
Thank you.
resiliency is beautiful. And you're right. If no one knows that it's there, how could they take advantage? What you're offering is very much needed. And,
Yeah.
you know, my dad always had an expression, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it really fall? And it's like, you got to make noise. You got to make sure that your outreach is huge and you're showing up. And, one thing that helps is looking beyond how you feel. It's thinking about the lines and crowds of people that
Correct.
literally need what you offer. They
Thank
are
you.
waiting for you.
Thank you
So,
so much.
of course, of course. Now, you mentioned family. Do you have any children?
No, no
Okay,
children.
so this last question is hypothetical.
Sure.
Imagine your future children.
Hmm.
20 years from now, they write mom a letter. And in that letter, they've included praise for all the things you've done beautifully and a couple of wishes of things that they wished you'd done a little different.
Hmm.
What do you think would be in that letter? Very top level, nothing deep, deep, but what are the things that they're writing to mom 20 years from now?
Oh my God. Wow. What would it be? Um, so I would they would be showered with lots of love as I was
Awesome.
with my nuclear family, as well as my extended family. Lots so just so much love around. Lots of hugs, lots of kisses, lots of jokes. But one of the things that it's funny that as you get older, you say to yourself, I don't want to be, I don't want to be just like my mom. I don't want to be this, and then you realize, well, you are one. Um, so we are still different, but my mom was always someone that um would push me.
Mm,
Number one, because I'm the oldest, and I would need to I had to learn everything on my own. And so I would push, they would probably feel that they were pushed and involved, and that I pushed them and involved them sometimes in little bit too much stuff. Because even in my if I had to answer a question as to say, what is one of the things that your workers, when I led teams of people,
hmm
would have wanted, would that I could have improved on, it would be to, even though my team trusted me and they knew that I would do anything for them, um it was important for me, for my guys to be on any situation, to be, anytime that any of the bosses or anyone came around, for them to be in a good position, in a good light. So I because of that, I was an overachiever. And
mm,
in being that, things that would need to be done would be done almost instantaneously, or within the week. So it will be 2 weeks already accomplished before it would have need the due date was to be done. But
awesome.
if they had situations where they wouldn't be able, or struggling, or probably relatively new, I would come in early in the morning to work with them, so that they could get to achieve what they needed to. If I had more than one location, I'll partner them with someone, and I will follow up. It was really important for me, for, like I said, for people to do well. Is not
Mm,
highlighting one and not the other. So they would complain that, they would probably say that, I push them too much, and my response to that would be to tell me, to let me know, because if this is my nature.
mm.
I'm a rush. I'm really kind, sweet, loving, caring. Sometimes people might think that I look really laid back, but I am extremely aggressive about getting things done when they need to get done. Um, yeah, so yeah.
Oh, that's a
They
beautiful
would,
letter
they would,
indeed. I mean,
yeah,
it's certainly
definitely.
not a bad thing to be supportive and giving someone a little nudge, but
Yeah.
the intent of that question is
Mhm.
just to give you some introspection on where you are and the amazing things that you're doing and
Thank you.
all the people that are waiting for you. So it has been such an honor to really dig deep into the journey that you've been on, where you're heading. Do you have any closing words for our listeners today?
Hmm. Wow. Let me see. Let me see. I actually had something that I that I pulled up. I
Awesome.
uh so, so just a few things to keep in mind. And this is from an app that I put on my phone. I mentioned this also in my post on Facebook. It's a motivation app.
Hmm.
And so it sends me a whole bunch of different reminders through the course of the day. And it's funny because they speak to me. And I say they speak to me. Literally, I feel they speak to me because some things happen in my day and I'm thinking like I needed that, really. I really
Right.
needed that. Okay. So here's this. Kindness is not an act. It's a lifestyle.
Mm,
It's either you're just kind or you're just not, because it's just not part of your lifestyle. So you can't fake being kind,
true.
you know. And one more should write and I didn't I mention to you about it's so funny when you say you do the poetry. We gotta talk about that offline because it's so funny. I'm like, I did the poetry. I went to the
Yeah, over the
poetry event.
weekend, you said you
And
attended
yeah,
one.
and I'm like, wait a minute. Now she's telling me you could have I'm like, and it was really good. I'm gonna like I
Beautiful.
recorded some stuff. I'm like, this is like really good. But anyway, and one more that I thought. So all endings are also beginnings. We just don't know it at the time.
Mm,
So this comes full circle to everything that we talked about, because everything could be ripped from you. There's many people who are famous today that lived on the street.
yeah.
On the street, no home, no money, and someone came up to them and said, "Hey, I got a job for you."
Yep.
So and so they're multi-billionaires today. There's many of them out there. I'm not going to list any of them, but there's quite a bit. It's so surprisingly when you start researching stuff what you find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just say is just that's what I would leave with them.
No,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful parting advice. And again, we just want to thank all of our listeners for taking time out of their schedules and tuning in. Don't give up on your dream. Know that if it's there for a reason. Find the necessary support to make it a reality. And we thank you, Marjorie, for coming through and shedding your light, dropping your gems, and we're wishing you nothing but continued success.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to share this video and like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at New You Wow. Until next time, stand tall in your power and remember, your belief in yourself is your superpower.